I'm fed up with the ceaseless carping of a handful of spoiled, self-indulgent, overgrown adolescents. So indulged with every toy, game, and electronic device available, they didn't even need to learn how to amuse themselves because mom and dad were always there to shuffle them from one organized activity to another. Sound familiar? We've all heard the millennial stereotypes before: lazy, spoiled, self-entitled. But what if I told you those lines you just heard were written by a 50-something baby boomer about a 20-something Gen Xer, written in 1993. It was called the whiny generation. It wasn't even about our generation. But you probably all thought that I was talking millennial stereotype because that's all the rage nowadays. In 2016 alone, real news outlets had headlines and articles talking about how millennials are ruining the wine industry. We ruined hotels for everyone. Napkins. Movies. Running. Golf. Europe's millennials, they're even worse. They killed off the European Union. So if you believe all these stereotypes, it's almost like there's nothing left for millennials to just sink their teeth into and completely ruin. But it got me thinking, because I've also heard countless experts talk about the power of the millennial generation and the power that we have to one day change the world. And I wondered why. You know, when do we stop thinking about what we can do one day? When do we stop worrying about the challenges that we're facing today and actually start doing something today to fix it? Some people are. Mark Zuckerberg, for example, Facebook. Facebook is connecting people from all around the world. He was a millennial in October of 2003 in his dorm room. He didn't wait for the rest of the world to tell him that he was allowed to pass go. He just did it. But with all the technology and the connectedness out there today, almost anyone can do that. You don't need to be born in the 80s or the 90s or the 2000s to create some social network. It's out there. So what makes millennials special? What is it about millennials that can actually one day do something to change the world? Everyone may have their own answer. But it goes back to values. Our generation, the millennial generation, is the first generation to ever prioritize values in things like our search for work. Past generations certainly care about other people. But our generation is the first to have it be so vividly important to what we do on a daily basis. There's a study published recently by Deloitte that talked about millennials all around the world. The majority of them feel as though they have a fair amount or great deal of accountability into things like social equality, protecting the environment. But why? Obviously, there's Facebook and the internet that has allowed us to connect with people of different cultures and backgrounds from all around the world, but what is it about millennials? What happened that either consciously or subconsciously has forced us to prioritize these values to the extent that we have? Again, everyone may have their own answer. I remember mine, and it was when I was in 6th grade. I don't remember too many days from when I was in 6th grade, but I remember this one in particular. It was about 9:15. And I was heading into my second period American history class. I can only imagine we were going to talk about the Battle of Bunker Hill or some other aspect of the American Revolutionary War. But this day was different because our teacher was late. And he was never late. Now, we were a bunch of 11-year-old boys, so we were messing around, goofing off. We loved the fact that our teacher was not there yet. But what we didn't know is that while we were there in that classroom, the entire world and the way that we would grow to look at the world was rapidly changing. You see, about 15 minutes before he finally walked in that class, 5 terrorists took control of an airplane, and they crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. In the minutes that followed, 3 more planes. 1 into the South Tower, 1 into the Pentagon, and 1 into a field in Pennsylvania after the passengers on board fought back. that quickly, everything changed. Now, I suspect my parents probably tried to keep some of it from me, but I remember seeing the replays over and over and over again. Our world changed like that. And there have been countless experts who have said that what happened on 9/11 was the most formative experience of our generation. But I don't necessarily agree. I think it goes deeper than that, and I think it's from this place where the future of millennial leadership was born. Because as much as I remember seeing the smoke billowing in Manhattan, there's something else that's been ingrained in our generation's memory. And it's not what happened on that day. It's what we saw in the days and the weeks and the months after the fact. When we saw Americans as close as Union Square in New York and as far as Waikiki Beach in Honolulu come together at candlelight vigils. We saw people wait in line an entire day in Wisconsin just to donate blood to the Red Cross. We saw cities and towns from all across the country sending fire trucks and EMTs up to Ground Zero just to pitch in. We saw the Reverend Billy Graham at the National Cathedral and the Imam at the Al Abedin Mosque in Queens preaching that we come together and unite together, rebuild together, because the world depended on it. Our generation, no matter how young we were, we saw a country actually come together, unite, regardless of what differences were thrown into the mix. We saw the promise of a country at an age where we were just trying to learn the promise within ourselves. The power that the millennial generation has to one day change the world, it's not in what we do, and it's not in what we believe, and it's not in what companies we start. It's in why we do what we do, why we believe what we believe, and why we start the companies that we start. Because we know what we aspire to actually be. Now, this slide that I showed you earlier, the Deloitte slide, there's something important on here. Because as more and more millennials consistently feel like we have a great deal of accountability into issues like the environment, social equality, hunger, healthcare, income inequality, more and more of us feel as though we lack the ability to influence that conversation. And it's time for that to change. The time where we can just sit back and watch everything unfold on TV or tweet about it, it's done. The time for millennial leadership is here. And it starts with you and it starts with me. Whether you're a millennial in this audience right now, whether you're watching on the live stream at home, whether you're that kid from Northeast Philadelphia or the kid from the farm in Idaho, it's us forcing ourselves to have the influence. It's us coming together in our communities, in our churches, our synagogues, our mosques, learning from each other in school and just from conversation. Because if we're the smartest person in the room, that's a problem. So this talk, the future of millennial leadership, what is it? The future is now the present. The day for tweeting is over. So next time you hear about how millennials are killing golf, or maybe next time we'll just kill fun altogether, next time you feel accountable towards an issue in your community, no matter how small, stand up, speak up, and start that conversation. Because some of the greatest things that have been accomplished in this world started from one small conversation. And because the time of watching it from afar is over, the time for millennial leadership is now. Thank you.